and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Now, you got people like the Humanist Report, Majority Report, David Pakman, Destiny, all afraid of Trump. Now, I find this to be an insult to everyone's intelligence, okay? It should come as no surprise to anyone that Donald Trump would seek re-election after the 2020 election cycle. Donald Trump, of course, is going to do everything he can to maintain his image and try once again to retain the presidency. Now, as it stands right now, today is the day for the New Hampshire primary. I'm personally going to be surprised if Donald Trump doesn't win it. But nonetheless, he has a huge political following. Many people within the Republican primary want to vote and support for Donald Trump. And I've said this before. Trump kept his political organization together. And no, this isn't an endorsement for Trump. Because there's a lot of liberals out there. A lot of people say, oh, well, how come you're saying all these positive things about Trump? No, I'm not saying anything positive. These are facts. And the whole purpose of the show is to give commentary and analysis. It would be an insult to all of you if I would say, oh, well, Trump's a bad person and we got to cancel him. No, we have to look at why Trump is succeeding with his voters, why he's able to once again outmaneuver the Democratic establishment and corporate media, and why, for a fact, there is a very good possibility that, yes, he could win the re-election in the 2024 election cycle. This should come as no surprise. But the thing is, what I'm seeing, once again, being turned up to 11 is the fear, the unnecessary wave of fear of, oh, we have to be afraid. We must huddle in the darkness. Trump is going to take away our liberties. They're already being taken away. The system was always like this. What Donald Trump did was just rip off the mask. That was it. He's probably been the most transparent president in U.S. history. He showed everyone just how inherently corrupt it is. Now, does that make Donald Trump a saint? No, because he's participating in the same system too. But when you have these larger channels constantly ragging on how Trump's going to do this and how Trump's going to do that, you do realize that these Democratic politicians had decades before Trump ever became a word or a phrase or a concept in people's minds. They had decades to do the right thing, to codify Roe v. Wade, or do something for Medicare for all, or invest in our infrastructure, or end these fucking unnecessary wars. But yet now I have to double down, and they're asking all of you to double down to support what? The Democrats and Joe Biden, who have delivered nothing to you? Ask the people of East Palestine, Ohio, how Biden's treating them. By the way, hey, last I checked, didn't he promise to visit those people? What about the people of Lahaina? Anything? What about or any other city or small town that is right now struggling with an environmental disaster or crumbling infrastructure? But yet we have to live in fear. So, folks, it's time for you to panic. It's time for you to cry, huddle in a corner, and be afraid. Because now, oh no, it's Trump. These are the liberals who are eating their organic gluten-free food, watching Rachel Maddow at night, right? These are the people who are so obsessed with Trump and what he could do or possibly do. After election night in 2024, when it's all said and done, tomorrow will be like the day after will be like any other day. That's the real truth. It won't matter. It really doesn't matter who sits on the throne.
So did anyone else feel an overwhelming sense of dread when the clock struck midnight on New Year's? Because I know I certainly did, because 2024 is going to be a year that will almost certainly change the trajectory of our country's future in a significant way, for better or worse. And the direction we go this year will be decided by the presidential election ultimately. And it looks like we are set to see a rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And with each passing day, that prospect gets more and more demoralizing. And I'm going to explain why, if it's not already obvious. First and foremost, Trump is a literal threat to U.S. democracy.
It's Trump. He's a threat. Remember that scenario, the liberal late at night in their house watching Rachel Maddow. There's a rainstorm outside and there's a scary man out there and he's holding an axe and it turns out to be Trump. He knocks down the door and chases the liberal all over the country. Is that how you want to live? Because what? Some guy's running for office and he's going to turn into a dictatorship. No one tell these latte drinking liberals that we've had presidents sign the orders of the genocide of Native American peoples, or, preside over a country when slavery was still legal, or that women couldn't vote. No one tell those liberals that, right? But Trump is the worst president ever forever in U.S. history.
There are people who try to downplay the threat that he poses, but he does pose a threat. And when historians say that what he is doing and saying is similar to what we've seen previous dictators around the globe do, I listen to them.
Also pretty sickening to see liberals weaponizing Trump against Muslim and Arab Americans for not wanting to vote for Genocide Joe and going all white savior as if voting for blue MAGA has made anyone's lives better. Well, I will tell you something. The fact of the matter is that
here you go. He's going to tell you that if you're a Muslim or an Arab, you better vote for Biden because he's better. Who cares that he can't stop a genocide that's happening? What now? I think we're now at 25 to maybe 26,000 dead Palestinians. But hey, you got to vote for Biden because he's better than Trump.
We cut child poverty in half, by 45%, 40%. I think that makes a difference to people's lives. Biden hasn't done nearly enough in terms of student debt relief, but for 3 million people, yes, it made a difference. The idea that Medicaid expansion was promoted under Biden, yes, that makes a huge difference. The idea that the National Labor Relations Board.
Hold on. I'm going to pause right here. Debbie Dad says, I bet Sam will say, again. I just noticed that. Hold on. I'm sorry. We're going to play that again. I just noticed that.
Pose a threat. And when historians say that what he is doing and saying is similar to what we've seen previous dictators around the globe do, I listen to them.
Also pretty sickening to see liberals weaponizing Trump against Muslim and Arab Americans for not wanting to vote for Genocide Joe and going all white savior as if voting for blue MAGA has made anyone's lives better. Well, I will tell you something.
One.
The fact of the matter is that
two,
we cut child poverty in half, by 45%, 40%. I think that makes a difference to people's lives. Biden hasn't done nearly enough in terms of student debt relief, but for 3 million people, yes, it made a difference.
Four.
The idea that Medicaid expansion was promoted under Biden, yes, that makes a huge difference. The idea that the National Labor Relations Board has made unionizing easier, yes, that makes a difference. For millions of people who stand to gain Social Security and worker protections because of the labor board decision today, yes, that makes a difference. I mean, on balance, I'm sorry. The fact is, yes, there have been many more people's lives who've been made better by having a Democratic administration versus a Republican administration.
Okay, so I at least counted 8 uhs. Okay, out of that. 8 uhs. All right. Shoot. Okay. Well, that was a fascinating study. Well done, Dabby Dabs. That was spot on. Spot on. But looking at everything that Sam Cedar was, bringing up, everything that he was addressing in his little speech, let's look at what happened under Democratic administration, especially Joe Biden. Well, the kids are in cages. The border crisis is out of control. I know all of you have explained in detail how the economy is treating all of you and how all of you and your family members and friends and co-workers are struggling. We have seen firsthand how our own school systems are struggling and falling apart. Our infrastructure is falling apart. We're not only engaged in one war, but 3 dangerous conflicts. And our money, our treasuries, is being invested into those wars. How have our lives improved under Joe Biden? Well, women, hey, check this out. Roe v. Wade died under a Democratic presidential administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So what I want to say to all those activists and organizers, remember when you all said that, if Trump were ever to get rid of it, you guys would be in the streets for days, weeks, months until something would happen? Where are all of you at? Watch, I bet if Trump gets reelected, we're going to see those pink pussy hats again. I hope people aren't stupid enough to buy into that. Now let's listen to our good friend David Pakman.
I got a bunch of emails from people saying, sorry, David, Trump is going to win, MAGA 2024, this sort of thing, relating to me personally. This has nothing to do with me. And it's really important to understand, I have almost zero influence over this election. I don't want to say zero. Like, I have a show, and I know that there are some people who called in and said, hey, you know what? I was going to vote third party, but I'm going to vote Biden because I understand the risk. Or I was going to stay home and I'm going to go vote Biden because I understand the risk. You're not.
It doesn't matter. There is no risk. Your vote is just a vote. Whoever becomes president, it just doesn't matter. You can't change people's minds. One vote doesn't tip the balance, because in this country, popular vote means jack. The Electoral College is going to decide who's going to become president, not you, the American people. See? Voting is worthless.
Not hurting. If Trump wins, I'm not really the person who gets hurt, right? I mean, I live in a...
Why not? Why not? Are you in a little privileged area? You're not going to get hurt? I mean, David, technically, a lot of you people who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, this is good for you. Because then all of a sudden, the algorithm is going to work in your favor, because now you go back to your bread and butter and start hating on Trump. Trump did this. Trump did that. Trump opened the door. Trump took a dump. Anything that he does, you could do a video on. It's pure gold for you. You should be foaming at the mouth for this. You should be excited for this, David.
Blue state, and a lot of the crazy stuff that President Trump would do will affect me way less living in a blue state. My financial situation is fine. I'm completely stable financially, and unless Trump tries to come.
So he's telling you, get out of my way, poor people. I know better than you. You should listen to me because I'm okay. I'm in a blue state.
Take my money. I'm going to be fine.
I live in a blue state, and it's a nightmare here. See, that's why I got to get on the Fox News and tell them, hey, look, man, Illinois is not a communist utopia. What's wrong with you?
Right? You're not really getting one over on me if Trump wins. It's not for my benefit that I want Joe Biden to win. It's for the benefit of the country.
He's saying, I know better than you. You poor people need to shut up and stop emailing me. It's for the good of the country, so you better vote for Biden. But it's okay. It doesn't matter because I'm insulated. I'm safe. I'm David Pakman.
I think it wowould be better for the country if Biden wins. So the people who write to me and go, David, have you seen these polls? Your guy's going to lose. Ha, ha,
ha. Oh, you Trump supporters, you crack me up, man. You know, and here's the thing, man. Sometimes I do read those posts, like what you occasionally see, like on David Pakman's show or anywhere else, and it's pure gold. It's hilarious stuff. So listen, I'll just make this deal with the Trump people, right? Because obviously we don't know how the election will turn out. But come election night, you know, when the liberals are all having their meltdowns, if you're going to put Hardlands Media in the compilation video, just remember, I'm not the guy who's going to be I'm going to be laughing. The only portion of the election night I'll be sad about is how the third parties turn out. But I'm eating a ribeye steak, so there you go. Just remember, that crap is funny. I love it when I see that. Ha ha ha, David. See, it triggers David. He's like, oh, those Trumpers are so mean to me.
I think it would be better for the country if Biden wins. So the people who write to me and go, David, have you seen these polls? Your guy's going to lose. Ha ha ha. This isn't about me. I'm not the one who wields the influence, and I'm not the one who's going to be overwhelmingly affected here. It's going to be a disaster for what this country is supposedly founded on. The people writing to me will suffer at least as much, if not more than I will. So This isn't a personal thing.
Yeah. But putting aside Trump's corruption and criminality and general stupidity, it's not just going to be a tumultuous 4 years of him if he gets elected again. It's not just more Supreme Court justices. He is going to dismantle the administrative state and permanently change the structure of our government and institutions. That is a problem. He's open about his plans to attack democracy and dismantle institutions, and currently he's the favorite to win. Keep that in mind. So ask yourself, how is it even possible that someone so terrible, a fucking cartoon character, could be leading in polls right now?
Because politicians are boring, they're soulless, they're corrupt, they're doing insider trading, and they expect us to be loyal to them. You think people voted for Trump because their lives are great? No. You think Trump is doing well because what? He has the pulse on the nation? No, it's because the American people want something different. Now, Bernie Sanders, if he had a nutsack, if he had a heart, if he had a soul, if he had a brain, if he had wisdom, if he had a backbone, he could have been those things. But the thing is, as time progressed on, especially after 2016 and 2020, myself and many other people in independent media came to the realization that he was never who he said he was. He hyped everyone up on this idea of a new movement and that somehow things could change, but he didn't have the dog in him, the dog to fight. Now, Trump, to his credit, actually has the dog in him to fight. He's doing it for his own reasons and to maintain his own political power and his political movement. But I have to say, look, I'm a person who likes people being consistent, and Trump has been consistent. No, it's not on anything that I approve of. When it comes down to politics and power and flexing it, he has been consistent. Why do you think he dominated the Republican primary? He didn't even show up to any of the goddamn debates. And now we got to be afraid of Trump because, oh no, he could win the Republican primary. Hold on. Just for everyone. This is acting 101. This is all for an act. What? Trump is winning the Republican primaries? Oh no, we gotta up the Trump derangement syndrome to 11 and beyond. Stupid, man.
It's got to say at least something about his opponent, does it not? And I'd argue it does. Much like his predecessor, Joe Biden is complicit in genocide. More than 20,000 Gazans have been murdered by Israel.
Technically 25,000. And hey, it's happening under your boy, Biden. Remember, I remember a lot of you liberals and a lot of you other larger channels were celebrating. Rational National, David Pakman, everybody. Everybody was happy, celebrating that Trump got defeated. But oh no. Turns out Biden didn't do anything different. Turns out your boy, your dog, your ace a hole is a senile old man.
Netanyahu cabinet members have expressed genocidal intent and admitted that ethnic cleansing is their end goal, and Biden still will not tell them to stop. In fact, he bypassed Congress to sell them even more weapons that they will inevitably use on innocent civilians in Gaza. But don't worry, guys, he told them to end the mass civilian deaths while he was giving them more weapons that they'll use to blow up civilians. So it's all good, apparently. And to say that his support for Israel has been catastrophic would be an understatement. At the time that I record this video in January of 2024, he has now lost the support of Arab Americans in key swing states like Michigan. He's lost the support of Black voters, Latino voters. He's lost the support of young voters who are sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinian people. But he is still not telling Israel to stop. Now, liberals might respond and point out that this rhetoric that he's been using lately has at least started to shift in regard to Israel's genocide. And yes, that's true. But we don't need him to talk the talk. We need him to walk the fucking walk.
It is not revolutionary. Some of these changes are incremental. You may argue that in certainly in the lives of some people, it is not made better without a doubt. But I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think I personally am not someone.
Emma, you seem to be low energy.
Who has ever really cared about the Democratic Party beyond whether that party or candidate is going to move in the direction of issues that I support. So I don't know what to tell you. Biden has continued a lot of the policies introduced under Trump. That's true. He's also reversed a lot of policies that have existed under Trump.
7.
Arguing zero difference is just not useful. Also, I think arguing what people should do one way or the other on election day isn't useful. Like I'm coming back to the idea that like the private ballot, I think people should just, and then move on to like, what else are you doing? Are you joining some sort of progressive or socialist group? Are you phone?
Hold on. We're going to stop here for one quick second, okay? Don't worry. You had to go through those 7 minutes. I promise. I got a better video that's going to put a smile on your face, okay? So I counted 7 uhs from Sammy Boy Cedar. Now, Dabby Dabs, like I can never get that out of my head now. Every time I'm going to watch Majority Report, I'm going to be counting the uhs now, okay? But let's talk about a lot of these activists and socialist groups. So Hard Lens Media, back in the beginning, when we used to do a lot of field reporting and ground reporting, and in time, we will be doing that again very soon. I covered a lot of those activist groups. And a lot of them are intertwined with the Democratic Party or liberal groups that are close to the Democratic Party. A lot of those groups that we covered, especially from 2017 to 2019, especially when it came down to doing anything earth-shattering or shocking, they would form up somewhere downtown Chicago and then protest in front of Trump Tower. After a while, it got old real fast. There was no real plan on doing anything to change the foundation or try and shake things up politically. It was always the same. Get ready to do a protest, and we're going to march to Trump Tower. I'll never forget the day I called up Daniel and said, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be covering these protests. It's when I walked out of the group line and I saw them get sheep herded into a cage that the cops recently built right there in front of Trump Tower. When I saw those people get herded into that little cage, I'm like, there's nothing here. That's why we got to talk about doing mutual aid, forming groups and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., and start supporting citizen ballot initiatives. That's what needs to be done. But I promised you a fun video, and you're going to get it. All of you are going to get it. So first of all, I want to give a huge shout to Turncoat Don. Turncoat Don, thank you. Because of words or violence, Glenn Greenwald versus Destiny. Enjoy it, folks. You deserve a laugh after sitting through that 7 minute of torture.
Was this an attempted coup? Do you guys think this was an attempted coup?
Of course it was.
Obviously it was.
An attempted coup. What is that if not a coup? Coup or an insurrection? Attempted coup. It's an attempted coup. A coup. It's a coup. Definition of a coup. Definition of a coup.
If this were a coup, why didn't Trump order the military to seize control of the power and turn over the election process to him? Why didn't he order the armed factions that form the law enforcement part of the military and the executive branch that serve under his command to do that as well? That's what happens in a coup. That didn't happen here because Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup. On top of that, none of the videotapes that were available was made available to the public except for very deceitfully chosen snippets. And it was only within the last several months that we saw all of the video footage. And what it showed makes a joke of the idea that this was a coup. If he had ordered the military or some other FBI or any of those agencies, the CIA, to go and use violence on domestic soil in order to ignore those court rulings the way people do when they're trying to implement coups, you would have a good argument. He didn't do any of that. He invoked all of his legal rights in the judiciary and in the Congress. He lost and he walked out of the White House on January 20th. He did not have to be dragged out. He wasn't arrested by the military, which is what happens in coups. So much of this is because you only started paying attention to politics in 2016. You only live in the United States. You have no idea about history or anything that happens in other countries. You have no idea what a coup is. The reason it matters, Destiny, is because if you're going to make arguments, there has to be an important test, which is, do you apply the same principles you're...
Jesus Christ, Glenn, he's being beaten enough as it is by society already. After all, his wife left him for a dime store Ezra Miller. Glenn, come on. You're killing the boy. Take it easy, man. Stop it. Stop it. He's already dead inside.
Claiming to profess and believe in, to cases where it undermines your partisan allegiance and your ideology, not only where it helps it. That's one of the key tasks for determining the authenticity of your argument. And so if you don't think the 2020 protest movement was an insurrectionary movement against the United States government, there's no way to claim what January 6th was. especially since Trump could have done so much more to cause a coup that he did not do because that wasn't his aim ever.
Oh, my neck! You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Christ in heaven, Glenn, you didn't have to murder that boy so bad. You didn't have to do him in that bad. Come on, Glenn, lay off him. See, I promised we'd have a fun video. But you have all these people on these platforms talking about what Trump is. Controversial statement here in a 3, 2, 1. Trump and Adolf Hitler have nothing in common. They're two different people. All this talk about Trump supporters being fascists or right-wing Nazis is just not factually correct at all. Now, I can have political disagreements with Trumpers or libertarians or Greens or socialists or liberals, but I'm not going to start acting immature and start saying, oh, this person who disagrees with me is X, Y, and Z. They're this, they're that. Proof, evidence? Look, I can't help it if Donald Trump is popular amongst his voting base and that the Democrats decide to screw over their own voting base. I can't help it that the Democrats refuse to engage in state politics. I can't help it if Democrats actually engaged in neoliberal policies that made our lives significantly worse, that even Republican politicians would be foaming at the mouth wishing they could do. If people really understood what Bill Clinton and Barack Obama actually did to us, you would be furious. They laid down the groundwork for the top 1% to enjoy it all. At the end of the day, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are friends with each other. And while Trump has put on this notion of being an outsider, he's going to change things up, he's still going to be part of the system. His first administration, he surrounded himself with neoconservatives and neoliberals who were associated or part of the Bush-Cheney administration. And they went in there thinking that was going to be like Bush Jr. all over again. You know how to pick him, Trump. So all this talk about Trump's going to do this and Trump's going to do that, he's no different than any other president. So nothing great or magical is going to happen. Remember how people were hyped up and excited how things were going to change when Barack Obama got into office? Yeah. Turns out he had that supermajority in the Senate and House. He did nothing with it. He didn't codify Roe v. Wade, didn't do anything for Medicare for all, didn't do anything that he promised. He just continued on with neoliberalism. He continued on with the policies that have led us to where we're at right now. And because Obama got into office, that's how we got Trump. So all this crap about Trump's going to do this, and Trump's going to do that, and Trump. What all these big-brained liberals don't realize is that every time you talk about Trump, you make him more popular. And all of you collectively should be excited for this. Because if Trump gets reelected, you got 4 years of content, baby. What are you crying about? You get in the views. You get that the liberal base will be like, oh, yes, they're going to reaffirm me about my feelings and my hatred towards Trump. And not critically challenge people. That's the purpose of Hard Lens Media. What I want all of you to do is after this show, look at other articles and information and come to your own conclusions. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Vote how you feel like at the end of 2024. It's up to you. The world's your oyster on this one. But don't let people bully you because, oh, what? Trump is the threat. He's the end all be all. No, he's not. It's not him.